is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are the West.
Lloyd back to the plate. Hit well to left field. Gone is Saunders back at the wall. Goodbye! Drew Stubb walks it off with his first Ranger home run. The Rangers win it 6-5. Drew Stubbs went off Toronto Blue Jays on Toronto. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T High-Speed Internet. It is cloudy but mild day here at Globe Life Park, unseasonably cool. As a matter of fact, the Rangers hope to heat things up as they look to pluck the Toronto Blue Jays and get the series win here today. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon of Ranger baseball. And boy, after last night, I don't know what kind of an encore the Rangers have going, but we're going to find out here very shortly. One thing the Rangers have done very well this season, Tom, is keep the middle of the Toronto order, specifically Jose Bautista and Josh Donaldson, quiet.
They've been able to do that, Buzz. Toronto has won 4 out of 6 meetings with the Rangers. They've done it basically with their pitching. Right. The Rangers have held their offense, and it's a great offense, but they've held them down pretty well. If you want to hold the offense down, you got to hold those 2 guys down. Donaldson is 0 for 10 so far in this series, 3 for 24 on the season. Bautista's only 4 for 25. Unfortunately, it looks like he's starting to get hot. He doubled in his last 2 at-bats last night. So if the Rangers want to hold the Blue Jays down and win this last game, one of the things they can continue to do is hold these 2 guys down in the middle of the order.
And that'll be up mainly to Cesar Ramos today. He faced the Blue Jays in relief and pitched 4 1/3 up in Toronto. He'll look to repeat a strong performance up there. So the finale of this 3-game series, the Rangers and the Blue Jays, will have lineups and first pitch right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Well, the Rangers and the Blue Jays playing the rubber game of this 3-game series. We'll have the first pitch for you momentarily. But first, let's head down and check in with Emily Jones.
Yeah, Buzz, the Rangers head into this finale against the Blue Jays. 5 games over 500, just a half game out in the American League West. And Adrian Beltre says it's not just the fact that they're winning games, but the way in which they're winning that is so encouraging this early in the season.
It's been obviously a balance of the lineup on the bottom to the top, but I think we expect that the whole year, and hopefully we can contribute every day.
And my, what a difference a year makes when you consider where this team was last season, trying to dig itself out of that hole. And despite the fact that they haven't been lights out across the board in all phases, they've had moments where each phase has picked each other up, and that's enabled them to put together some winning streaks, or 5 out of 6, different things like that have enabled them to play winning baseball while not exactly looking pretty all the time, but just finding a way to get it done. And at the end of the day, the guys say that's all that matters.
Yeah, not really concerned with style points. Thanks, Em. Very important to remember. It doesn't look how you look sometimes. It's what that W in loss column says. Well, Cesar Ramos out on the field now, getting loose, and Tom's going to tell you about the Blue Jay lineup that the left-hander will face today.
Kevin Pillar is back in the starting lineup. Came into the game late in yesterday's ball game. Josh Donaldson bats second. Jose Bautista is in right field batting third. Edwin Encarnacion tied for 8th with 28 RBIs as the cleanup hitter. The hot Justin Smoak bats 5th. Troy Tulowitzki is the shortstop. Michael Saunders playing some great baseball for the Blue Jays is batting 7th. Russell Martin's the catcher. Batting 9th with a .314 average is the second baseman, Darwin Barney.
And that lineup facing the 31-year-old left-hander Cesar Ramos. Ramos making his second start, his 4th appearance in a Ranger uniform. Today will be his 12th Major League start overall. He brings in an 0-2 record, a .511 earned run average. The opposition hitting .306 against him. We mentioned that Ramos had faced Toronto in Rogers Center that last series. That was back on the 5th of May. Worked 4 1/3 innings and shut them out on 3 hits. He'll look for something similar today. We are underway, and a fastball strike on the inside corner to Kevin Pillar. Pillar, 273, 2 home runs, 13 driven in. Is out of play, and quickly Ramos has the count in his favor at 0 balls and 2 strikes. Blue Jays come in at 19-19. They are in 3rd place. 5.5 games now by the streaking Baltimore Orioles, who have won 7 straight in that Eastern Division. Rangers, meanwhile, picked up a game last night on the Seattle Mariners, and now trail the Mariners by just a half game in the Western Division. Rangers coming in at a season best 5 games over 500 at 21-16. 1-2 pitch on the way. Little tapper. Ramos flags it down. Going up the ladder, comes down with the board. And Pillar is out number 1. Nice play by Cesar Ramos. That will lead us to showing you the Ranger defense. And it's delivered to you by the New Braunfels Convention and Visitors Bureau. Rua, Desmond, and Mazzara left, center, and right. Moreland and Odor on the right side of the infield. Andrews and Beltre on the left side. Brian Holiday behind the plate here this afternoon. And the quick as a cat, Cesar Ramos, is on the mound. Donaldson hits one off the end of the bat. Odor, the ball almost didn't get to him.
Well, one thing you know, if Donaldson hits a ground ball, you have plenty of time to make the play. He doesn't put a lot of pressure on the infielders. Rougned Odor waited back almost on the grass for that ball. Picked it up and lobbed it to first base and didn't have any trouble getting Donaldson.
For you young players at home, that is not a good example.
No.
There's one thing, I was always told there's one thing that everybody can do just the same, and that's hustle.
That's exactly right.
And
when a fan says my Little League team could have made that play, probably not true. But when they say my Little League team could run as fast as they can to first base every time, that is true, guys.
You're right about that.
You know, what happens is, you know, you're going to be out, whatever, 95 times out of 100 on that ball. But the other 5%, it might be a bobble. It might be a throw that takes the first baseman's foot off the bag for just a split second. And if you go as fast as you can, you might sneak in there and become a base runner.
Bautista almost had that happen to him last night. He had a line shot off Beltre's glove that, had he been running hard out of the box instead of being an observant batter, Odor, and he makes the tag and gets by it, and that is the out. Well, a 1-2-3 inning. 3 weakly hit ground balls from the Blue Jays. Cesar Ramos sends them down in order. Half an inning in the books, no score at Globe Life Park. On the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers batting order.
Rougned Odor will lead off. At second base, Ian Desmond is batting second. Nomar Mazara again is the third place hitter. Adrian Beltre is cleanup, followed by the DH, Prince Fielder. Mitch Moreland bats sixth at first. Elvis Andrus is the shortstop. Ryan Rua is in left field. And getting the start behind the plate and batting ninth is Brian Holiday.
And they will be facing a tough customer in 23-year-old right-hander Aaron Sanchez, who goes to work with a 94-mile-an-hour sinker on the outside corner. Sanchez, a lot of very hard sinkers. A great moving pitch that very difficult to lift in the air. He gets a hit, strike two. Sanchez also has a good cutter and a very good curveball. Rangers need to find a way to get him up in the strike zone so that they can get the ball to the outfield. Odor down on 3 pitches. Yeah, that's how the afternoon begins, and that was that curveball.
Try hitting that curveball the first time you see that pitch.
Take a look at the Blue Jays defense behind Aaron Sanchez here today. Outfield of Saunders in left, Villar in center, and Bautista in right. Dustin Smoke and Darwin Barney on the right side of the infield. Troy Tulowitzki and Josh Donaldson man the left side with Russell Martin again behind the plate. Oh, one away. Here is Ian Desmond. Nothing but strikes so far from Aaron Sanchez. Desmond a .257 average, 4 home runs, 19 driven in. Desmond 0 for 3 in matchups against Sanchez. Emanating from that one outing that Sanchez hit against the Rangers, his first career start against Texas. That was in Toronto on that last series.
That's a pretty good start, isn't it?
Yeah, 6 pitches, 6 strikes, 2 strikeouts. We'll take a look at our Kubota power stats for Aaron Sanchez. Talking about the young right-hander. 4th road start this season, or 4 road starts previously this season. He has a 3-0 record. Best ERA in baseball on the road at 0.96 and a 163 opponent's average. That's second best in the American League. I'll tell you exactly what you've seen so far, and that's a guy that throws a lot of strikes and is difficult to make solid contact against. Nomar Mazara, 307 average as he walks into the left-handed hitter's batter's box. Line to left, Saunders in a hurry. He's not going to get there. Cuts it off on one big hop, and Mazara is aboard. And Nomar turns around and looks at Desmond and Odor and says, that's not so tough.
Well, he stroked a 95-mile-an-hour sinker to left field. Let's take another look at it. Sanchez has the good movement. Not only does it sink, but it tails away from a left-hand hitter a little bit.
Well, the first base hit of the afternoon. Nomar Mazara, a 2-out single. Here's Adrian Beltre, a 275 average as he takes strike 1. Beltre had his hitting streak snapped last night. It was a 6-gamer. He got that average back up to its current 275 level. 1 ball and 1 strike. Beltre 1 out of 4 against Aaron Sanchez. Sanchez very tough on right-handed hitters. And he's tough on everybody, as that batting average against would tell you, but right-handed hitters in particular. Tulowitzki underhands to Barney for the force, and that'll do it. Rangers get a base hit, but strand a runner. We've played 1 at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Rangers nothing, Blue Jays nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Cesar Ramos out to the hill to start the top of the second. Middle third of the Toronto batting order. Encarnacion begins things by taking strike 1. Encarnacion, 235 average, 7 home runs and 28 driven in. He has had a home run in his career against Ramos. A ball and a strike. Cesar Ramos, really no stranger to the Toronto Blue Jays. His time that he spent with Tampa Bay faced Toronto. Of course, they're in the same division. As he pumps in strike 2. He's had 23 career relief outings against the Blue Jays. Career ERA of 3.38. Chopper just foul outside the bag at third. then we'll come back and try it again. 2-2. Big, slow breaking ball that just stayed up high.
Stayed up high in the strike zone, it looked like.
And Iasonia not giving that call to Ramos. Now the full count pitch. Ripped down the left field line, a fair ball and into the corner. Encarnacion motoring into second base with a leadoff double.
There you go, from hoping to get the call for a strike and a strikeout to being 3-2, leadoff hitter, throwing a strike and having it turned around into a double. Don't get all the calls, but this one hurt. Fastball down and in. Encarnacion ripped it. Encarnacion's had some big power years for the Blue Jays. Last year he had 39 home runs, knocked in 111 runs.
Here's Justin Smoak, and Rangers don't mind turning him around to bat from the right side. He's much less proficient statistically as a right-handed hitter as opposed to left-handed. He's just been tearing the Rangers apart left-handed, not just this year, but it seems like his entire career. Smoak this year a .238 average from the right side, .347 as a left-handed hitter. 1 ball and 1 strike. Overall, 3 home runs, and as Tom told you, all 3 of those home runs against the Rangers. 11 runs driven in and a .314 average. Out of play, a ball and 2 strikes now the count. Volk, a former first-round pick by the Rangers, went over to Seattle in that trade that brought Cliff Lee to Texas back in 2010. Proved to be a big trade for the Rangers, got them deep into the postseason to the World Series with Cliff Lee leading the staff. Justin Smoak, meanwhile, had a home in Seattle and just never really produced for him. Couldn't put it together. Went over to Toronto and has started to put things together. Playing every day now with Chris Colabello not available to them. Second straight 3-2 count now that Ramos has gone to. Smoak hitting 5th in the order. He'll be followed by the shortstop, Troy Tulowitzki. Ramos okays the sign. And the payoff pitch. Popped up. Shallow right field. Long run for Odor and Moreland. Odor can't hang on to it. He and the ball got to the wall just about the same time. Great shy by Rugdet. Mazzara playing well over into right center field. Couldn't get there. And Odor was really the only one that had the range to track that down, and it just popped out of his glove.
Yeah, and it's one thing if you're running into a wall like in the outfield that's padded, but the infielders know that that wall is basically cement, and you just can't go into that wall the same way you can the padded outfield wall. So he in the back of his mind, he knows what happens if he runs into that wall too hard, how close he is to it, how far he had to go, and how fast he's running to try to catch that pop-up.
Another 3-2. Call strike 3. A comeback fastball, and Smoak is going to argue with Iasonia a bit.
I'll go back and watch the 2-2 pitch to Encarnacion. Borderline pitch. Touching the strike zone. Hitter's not going to like that. Caesar probably didn't like the 2-2 pitch, the curveball to Encarnacion. Kind of goes both ways.
No, one very big out with Encarnacion staying at second. Here's Tulowitzki. He gets the changeup on the first pitch that he takes for strike 1. Tulowitzki with his 8th home run of the year last night. He is, again, hit much better on the road this year than he has at Rogers Center in Toronto. And you can read into that whatever you'd like. And folks around the Blue Jays say, well, he's probably pressing a little bit. He's only human from that respect. And 16 of his 20 RBI have come away from Toronto. And on top of that, he's really struggling against left-handers, hitting .067 against left-handed pitching this year. And this is a guy that's a career .313 hitter. Backing out of play, it's a ball and 2 strikes. There's the breakdown for you against right-handers. Not to Tulowitzki's standards, even the right-handed. But left-handed, completely out of character. Tulowitzki's home run last night, his 200th as a shortstop. He's only one of only 8 players in Major League history, make that 6th players in Major League history to have that many home runs as a shortstop. A ball and 2 strikes. Big breaking ball and just a little bit low. 2-2 now. Ramos and Tulowitzki, college teammates at Long Beach State. Look over some of the guys that were on that ball club. It's amazing that they ever lost a game. Elvis plays kind of a cute shot hop and throws out Tulowitzki. So 2 gone. Michael Saunders coming up, but right now we're going to welcome in Jim Knox. Hello, Jim.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Hello. What a great day for an afternoon game here at Globe Life Park. Got a couple of special guests, of course, Blake from Snow Shack and Mary Ann, his mom. Now, you guys opened the Snow Shack and a great success. He's gotten, I guess, World News report, and I didn't know he was a big-time Ranger fan.
Yeah, he's a major Ranger fan. If he's not watching them live, he's watching them on TV and he's recording it. But who's your favorite Ranger?
Emma.
84. 84 is his favorite Ranger, Prince Fielder, because Blake is the football number is 84. So we have an 84 snow cone just for Prince and for Blake.
All right, well, good to have you out of the game. Appreciate it, Buzz.
Meanwhile, Michael Saunders singling to right field. That's going to drive home Encarnacion. And the Blue Jays, with a big 2-out base hit, take the lead 1-0. And Saunders has really been raking against left-handed pitching this year. Drives in his 12th run of the season.
Saunders is healthy, playing every day and getting the job done. Swinging a good bat. 9th in the league coming into the game at .325. Found a hole.
The 1-0 Toronto. Russell Martin now steps in. Saunders at first, has good speed. Martin hits one off the end of the bat. 0-1 the count. You have to get a new weapon up there. That changeup that Ramos has featured. He's had a lot of mishit baseballs in the early going. Encarnacion hit the ball solidly for the double. Saunders hit the ball pretty well for the single, but other than that, balls put in play have not been smartly struck. Looping line drive to left. That settles in for a base hit. Saunders will stop at second. A pair of 2-out singles. 2 on for Darwin Barney.
Heading back to second baseman, number 18, Darwin Barney.
Barney, the former Chicago Cub, came over to Toronto last September, and he has really done a whale of a job since the Blue Jays acquired him. He's hit better than .300 in his time in a Toronto uniform. And in fact, .311 since joining Toronto. 0-1. Barney and Ryan Goins doing a platoon at second base. Devin Travis, the fine young second baseman, another injury-plagued season for him. Ian Desmond back into his left, corrals that one, and that'll do it. The Blue Jays get on the board, though. They get a run on 3 hits and leave 2 after 1.5. The Blue Jays won, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Prince Fielder starting things off against Aaron Sanchez, who misses outside for ball 1. The Blue Jays take a 1-0 lead as we play now in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Fielder steps in hitting at 187 for the season. Lifts his arm and lets that pass by, but it's a strike. 1-1. Fielder just 2 home runs, but 20 RBI. Prince has shown signs on this homestand, though, of starting to get the extra base hit back in play. Had his first multiple extra base hit night 3 nights ago. And he takes that low. It's 3-1. And he also has been taking walks, so that's getting him on base, and he is leading off the Rangers second. He'll be followed by the first baseman, Mitch Moreland. Three and 2. Sanchez back to the plate and misses inside for ball 4. Well, a quick reminder that you can come on out and meet Ranger Jake Diekman, Rangers captain, coming up on May 24th at the Whataburger on Sycamore School Road in Fort Worth. Don't miss the chance to win great prizes and to meet one of your Rangers at Whataburger. Visit TexasRangers.com/appearances for more details. A 1-on, nobody out. Here's Mitch hitting at 250. 4 home runs, 16 driven in. You talk about drawing walks. Moreland comes to mind. Had 5 walks in the last 5 ball games. Even though he has not had a lot of base hits, just 2 for 12 on this homestand. He's still been on base in every ball game. He's been on base 31 of the 33 games that he's played in this year. 0-1. Russell Martin, solid defensive catcher, blocks that ball, keeps it near home plate. That note on Mitch. On base percentage for the year, .331. That's 81 points higher than his batting average. But, pretty good indication that he has been ogling some pretty close pitches. Prince at first, 1 ball, 1 strike, the count. In the dirt. Sanchez got to raise his sights just a little bit. Last two have tested Russell Martin behind the plate.
Sanchez got to the big leagues in 2014 as a relief pitcher. At 24 relief outings, 33 innings, only gave up 14 hits. Last year he only gave up 74 hits in 92 innings. He had some starts, had some relief appearances. He was dominating as a reliever. Pitched great in the postseason against the Rangers, against Kansas City. Didn't give up an earned run, 7 in the 3rd innings. So he's kind of primed for, based on what he's done the last couple of years, for an opportunity to start all season long. He's off to a great start. 1 earned run or less in 5 of his 7 starts.
Still just 23 years old. He's from Barstow, California. Slowly hit to SMOAK. They get the force at second, back to first, not in time. Mitch rushing down that line, able to beat the relay throw from Tulowitzki.
And
1 out now, and Elvis Andrus coming up.
Not hit quite hard enough to turn it. SMOAK's a stylish first baseman. He gets rid of it quickly with something on it. So does Tulowitzki, firing it back to first base. And Mitch needed every bit of his speed to barely beat that double play ball out.
A 1-on-1 out now, and here's Elvis. Andrus a .287 average as he faces Sanchez. Slowly hit. Moreland not able to do anything except run into the out, and that'll do it. The 4-3 double play. The Rangers are done in the second. No runs, no hits, and nobody left on base. On to the third we go. Toronto 1, Texas 0 on Fox Sports Southwest. Nothing lead as Cesar Ramos goes to work here in the 3rd inning, working to Kevin Pillar. And the first pitch is just a little bit low and outside. Pillar tapped right back to the mound in the 1st inning. Blue Jays strung together 3 hits for their run in the second. Pilar, as you can see, a 271 mark now. Two and one. Pilar did not start last night's ball game. Had some chest soreness, but he came in defensively late in the ball game. He's been on a pretty big tear lately. The last 3 weeks or so, he's been a .316 hitter. He started out as the leadoff man for John Gibbons' club this year and hit 188 in his first couple of weeks as the leadoff hitter. And John Gibbons let him go down to the number 7 or 8 slot. John Saunders came up there, or Michael Saunders came up there and was the leadoff man, did extremely well. And now Pilar, they feel he's gotten back together and he's better suited for the leadoff role than Saunders is, and how this club is made up, especially against a left-handed pitcher. He has been in that number 1 spot lately. You know, off the end of the bat, Desmond coming on. It's going to fall for a base hit. That's one of those when Pilar with a full swing, the ball mishit again. And Ian Desmond not able to make up the lost ground, and it fall in front of him. And that's not a misplay. That's just a difficult read for anybody.
It happens when you hit the ball off the end of the bat. When you hit the ball off the handle, not so much. But when you hit the ball off the end of the bat, it's obviously the same powerful swing you would take. The ball just doesn't hit the right part of the bat, and it doesn't go anywhere. And a lot of times the first reaction of an outfielder is to hold your ground or go back because you made the assumption that he hit it well and the ball is going to carry, but it's deadened when it hits the end of the bat. In that particular play, that little hesitation didn't allow Ian time to come in and get it.
Donaldson bluffing a bunt and takes ball 1. Beltre going back to his normal spot, well back of third base. And Donaldson, the kind of guy with the power you would welcome a bunt from him. Rangers have handled him, though. He's 0 for 11 in this series, and they have bottled him up the entire year. Two and one. Donaldson tied for 3rd in the American League with 9 home runs. Chops that one foul, and the count evens now at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, the Blue Jays, you'll remember last year, outscored virtually everybody, especially the second half of the season. This year, not quite so much. They're right in the middle of the pack with 155 runs scored. That's 7th coming into play today. They're 12th in average, 235. They're 8th in on-base percentage. It's a little bit different year. 5th in home runs with 45 of them. Pitching has really been what has carried them in the early going. Their team ERA is the 2nd best in the American League at 3.21. Just missed inside. Well, the count has gone full. Donaldson batting second. He's hitting with Pilar at first. Jose Bautista, menacing figure in the on-deck circle. With nobody out, you would figure that Pilar would probably be given the green light here. He's staying put, though, and Donaldson hits a sky-high fly ball to left. Wind pushing that in just a little bit. Ryan Rua, plenty of time to get there. That is out number 1. And let's check in with Emily Jones.
Well, guys, it is always our pleasure to tell you about the things that the Texas Rangers are doing, not just in baseball, but also outside in the community, and the Texas Rangers Foundation and Globe Life partnered recently to give 60 kids the opportunity the entire school year to learn the life skills to be leaders as they head to high school. It culminated with presentations of nonprofits they created at their own schools. For more information on the Leading Off program, visit texasrangers.com/foundation. Guys.
And we have just had an ejection. The first base coach, Tim Leeper, has been run out by the first base umpire, Dale Scott.
I missed what happened, Buzz.
I did too.
I was watching Emily.
I did too. But Dale Scott and Tim Leeper in a pretty heated discussion about something. Temper's a little bit of a short fuse.
Not sure what could have occurred in the first base vicinity. Had a base hit and a fly ball to left, but not sure what else could have happened. Tim is pretty adamant that he's in a disagreement with Dale Scott at first base.
It may have been something to do with Ramos' move, maybe a box situation. I can't imagine anything else that a first base coach, with nothing else going on, would be that hot about. And Leeper now giving an earful to Dan Iasonia. And John Gibbons is help restore order. So I guess Dale Scott had heard enough. So that's you can go ahead and get ready early to go to your next stop on the road trip. Well, it looks like Eric Owens, the assistant hitting coach, is now going to be the first base coach.
Eric Owens now coaching first base for the Marlins. Eric Owens now coaching first base.
So one ejection and one out. Pilar still at first. Jose Bautista in a weak ground ball to second, his first time up. Pilar on the move. The pitch is a strike. The throw a little bit late.
Pretty good throw, but he had a big jump. He was going on first movement, and Pilar, quick start, carried him to that stolen base.
Oh, now a man in scoring position. 0-1 the count to Bautista. And that big breaking ball comes in through the back door. 0-2. Bautista's average at .213 currently, and he has really gotten himself into a hole. Rips that one foul. Go back to the ejection and see Leeper talking to Dale Scott over there, and this was after the fly out by Josh Donaldson.
Started out as a conversation and then escalated. See you later.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Still don't have any idea what they're arguing about.
Well, your guess about a balk is about as good as anything.
I don't know. I don't know what else it could be.
No one else was arguing about it, though.
No. Ramos a check of second. Now the 1-2 pitch. Popped up. Way up in the air. Beltre at the railing of the dugout, but it's back 3 rows.
It's interesting to see what big league players do on that kind of a foul pop-up. 7 or 8 guys on the top step of the dugout. That ball went up in the air in the vicinity of the dugout. They all walked down the steps and got out of the way. So that should be a good lesson to a lot of fans. When you see the ball go up, unless you're pretty confident that you have a chance to catch it, best thing you can do is duck, get out of the way, cover up your kids. Yeah, that's what the whole Blue Jay dugout did on that one. In case it came down in the dugout, they weren't going to stay there and try to catch it.
Ramos okays the sign. The left-hander's ready. Got him swinging. Strikeout number 2, and much to the delight of this crowd at Globe Life Park.
Well, Caesar made some good pitches to Bautista in that at bat. Threw a slow curve on the outside corner for strike 2, pounded him in with a fastball. And it looked like a backdoor cutter right on the outside corner. Got Bautista to swing and miss.
2 away. Now here's Edwin Encarnacion, who has hit the ball more sharply than any other Blue Jay this afternoon. It's that big slow bender in for strike 1. Encarnacion started the second off with a line drive double into the left field corner. And then 2 outs later, he came around to score on Michael Saunders' base hit. One ball and 1 strike. Encarnacion, despite that double, just 5 for his last 32, in the vicinity of a 140 average. Two and 1. And again, I think this is a situation, if you're Cesar Ramos falling behind Encarnacion, you don't have to throw him a strike now. They have a called strike. You have first base open, and even though you have a switch hitter in Justin SMOAK in the on-deck circle. Good pitch on the corner. If you can't throw it right there, if you're not going to throw it right there, it needs to be outside. That's a pretty safe place for the most part. 2 and 2. Pilar, his lead from second, right there at the bottom of your screen. Got him swinging, went down out of the strike zone, and good job by Cesar Ramos working around that leadoff single. Strikes out Bautista and Encarnacion. 2.5 have gone by as the Blue Jays 1, the Rangers 0 on Fox Sports Southwest. We got the perfect season ticket package for you. The Friday Fireworks 9-game plan, right up your alley. Guaranteed tickets to 9 Friday night games and their post-game fireworks, plus a 10th game absolutely free. This package includes an exclusive postseason pre-sale opportunity and the ability to exchange 1 game in your plan for a Sunday through Thursday non-premier game. To secure your Pyro pack, just call 972-RANGERS or visit TexasRangers.com/fireworks. Ryan Rua leading things off for the Rangers in the bottom of the third inning. Rua, Holiday, and Odor, the first three to face Aaron Sanchez. This is outside. Sanchez with a 1-0 lead. Ryan Rua batting at .293. This is his fifth start consecutively out in left field. Done a very good job as he takes a little bit low, and it's 3-0. Rua trying to get aboard. Brian Holiday, the catcher, will follow. Belt high strike. Rua in the 4 starts before this hit .429, went 6 for 14. Hit a triple, a home run, and drove in 4. Tapper foul. That will fill the count. You're talking about Aaron Sanchez and how tough he is on right-handed hitters. I mean, right-handed hitters have a devil of a time getting the ball airborne. He's not allowed a home run to a right-hander in his career. That's 331 at-bats coming into this game, but he has a lot of walk as Ryan Rua takes the free pass and is aboard. And before Brian Holiday steps in, let's send it over to John Radigan for a Chevy game break. All right, John, thank you. The Red Sox continuing to blister the baseball.
They've got some kind of offense going right now. About 5 or 6 guys hitting 300.
There goes Rua. The pitch is a strike. The throw to second bounces away from Barney. And Rua, with a stolen base, gets himself into scoring position.
Well, one thing good about that stolen base, in addition to being in scoring position, it takes away the double play. And he gets a lot of ground balls, especially with right-hand hitters up there. So, in fact, they had a double play last inning. A lot tougher to turn a double play with a man on second, though. Perfect throw would have been a very interesting call at second, but the ball bounced and no chance to make the tag.
So Rua now at second. 0-1 the count to Holiday. Ryan hitting at .220. But, and it's a good one. Donaldson will have to field it. Throws out Holiday. On to third goes Rua. He's there with 1 out. At the top of the order, Rougned Odor coming up.
One thing, Brian Holiday was taught how to bunt the right way. When he has a chance to lay down a sacrifice bunt, he gets the bunt down. If he has to bunt it to first, he'll do it. That one, he got it down in third base line, exactly how you want to bunt it. Nothing fancy. Bunt it hard enough, make the third baseman field it, and you got to have an automatic sacrifice. Bunt it hard right to him. He has to come in and make the play, and no one at third base, just an automatic sacrifice. Bunt it back to the pitcher, different story, though.
Well, here's Odor now. The Blue Jays pull the infield all the way in with Rua at third base. Odor went down swinging as he started things for the Rangers this afternoon. 0-1. Rougned in a bit of a funk now offensively. He is just 1 for his last 15 times to the plate. That has come on the heels of 5 straight multi-hit games for him. Nothing in 2.
Figure out a way to make some contact with that man on third. 0-2, tough pitcher, not easy to do.
That is just inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You're going to get Sanchez's best stuff right here, though. He's going for the strikeout.
And Iasone not really thrilled with Aaron Sanchez, who yelled something after that last pitch was called a ball. Iasone took the mask off and just stared out at him, and John Gibbons said, "Hey, wait a minute." And Gibbons is gone. Well, we thought it was just a couple of guys in the lineup that were complaining about things, but apparently it goes top to bottom. Gibbons, a former big league catcher, and he feels like he knows the strike zone pretty well. And you can see why Sanchez would be a little upset. That's one of those pitches that either the hitter or the pitcher is going to be upset because it was close. And you can hear Sanchez pretty much all over the park yelling something and trying to tell Iasone, you get back behind the plate. I wasn't talking to you. And John Gibbons is going to come out and find out who Iasone was mad at.
A pitcher in the heat of battle is going to get his emotions flared up occasionally, but in that particular case, Sanchez might have said something quickly, but he turned his back and walked towards second base. He wasn't carrying on.
Chopper foul. Group staying alive at a ball and 2 strikes.
Hey, for the most part, umpires will give a player in the heat of battle. You have to have a little bit of leeway to vent. That looked like all that Sanchez did, and then turned and walked away. Umpire probably should do the same thing.
Sanchez working from the stretch. Ricky Balk got him swinging. Odor can't get the ball in play. He strikes out for the 2nd time. There are now 2 outs now, and Ian Desmond coming up. 3rd strikeout for Sanchez.
He was going for the strikeout. Started the at-bat off with 96-mile-an-hour fastballs and ended the at-bat with something much slower.
Desmond, like Odor, a strikeout victim in the 1st. With 2 outs now, the Blue Jays infield back at normal depth. Swung around a couple of steps to the left. Nothing at 1 on the swing. Desmond has had a good homestand. In 6 ball games, he's hit .348. Driven in 6. He has scored 4 times. Line drive down the right field line. It's into the corner. Rua scored. Desmond putting on the speed around second. He's going for 3rd. The throw is high, and Desmond is safe. He got back on the bag. Now he's out. Thought he had gotten the hand back on the bag. Donaldson did not keep the tag on him. And third base umpire Lance Barrett took a long look at it as he was signaling safe and then rang the right hand up. And Jeff Bandage says, hang on here a second. Let our guys take a look at it. And he said, okay, go ahead. That was the correct call. So that will do it. This is the play that ended the inning. Desmond coming off the bag, and he was tagged by Donaldson. The Rangers, though, tie it. You get a run on 1 hit, nobody left. 1-1 after 3. A wild woolly game for only being 1-1, but that's where he stands as we head to the fourth inning. Justin SMOAK to start things off, and he shoots the first pitch out of play to the right. It is 0-1. SMOAK called out on strikes his first time up. Well, the Blue Jays are down a first base coach and they're down a skipper. They've had both of them tossed from the proceedings today. Changeup is a bit low. 1-1 the count. SMOAK a .310 average as Ramos comes back to him. Into the hole and through to left field, a base hit. SMOAK got a pitch that stayed up a bit on the inside corner, and he is aboard to start off the fourth inning. Well, folks, a Coca-Cola Family Pack offers savings of up to 50% on tickets, food, Kids Zones access, souvenir programs, and Coke soft drinks. The Family Pack is the ideal way to catch the Rangers when they play on against the Los Angeles Angels on May 23rd through the 25th. Just visit TexasRangers.com/specials. Get your Coca-Cola Family Pack. Troy Tulowitzki rounded to short his first time, takes strike one. Tulowitzki, a .183 average going for him. Pretty good candidate for a double play if you can get him to hit the ball on the ground to somebody, but he didn't. Put it through the right side for a base hit. SMOAK will stop at second. Another mishit ball, and that one found a hole as Odor was shading up the middle for Tulowitzki, and Rugden looked like he might have hurt himself going for that ball.
Yeah, that's about as slowly as you can roll a ball through the infield and get it to the outfield grass. Rugden had to go a long way. It really didn't matter whether he got to that ball or not. He's not going to be able to make the play on Tulowitzki. You can see the contact right off the end of the bat. Fooled by the pitch, but hit it in a spot where no one could make the play on it.
So 2 on with nobody out. Here's Michael Saunders, who had an RBI single his first time up there. And he takes strike one. Rangers had both Beltre and Moreland up at the corners, guarding against a bunt. Saunders showing no inclination to lay down a bunt. So now Adrian will back up to even with the bag, as is Mitch at first.
Saunders now has an 8-game hitting streak, hitting well over .450 in that 8-game streak.
Beltre over to take a look, but that is 5 rows back over the Blue Jays dugout. 0-2.
Saunders now hitting with a base hit in the second inning, .331. He was 9th in the league coming into the game. Raised his average 6 points with that base hit.
SMOAK leading away from second. He is trailed by Tulowitzki at first. That slow curveball, that tantalizingly slow up there. And Saunders waited as long as he could and still pulled it foul. Odor and Andrews up the middle looking for the double play. Shaded maybe a step to the right. Another slow curveball, and that's popped foul. Again, just back over the Toronto dugout. .63 pitches now for Cesar Ramos, working with nobody out here in the fourth inning. Good look at the Ranger defensive alignment. Saunders in his second year with the Toronto Blue Jays after being a member of the Seattle Mariners for the balance of his major league career. Takes that one inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Saunders, the Canadian, born in Victoria, British Columbia. The center field, Desmond got a break on this one. Coming on, makes the catch. And an off balance, quick release throw to second, but SMOAK was back. Nice play by Desmond in center.
That's the kind of play that we were talking about with Ian getting a chance to play center from left, to get a chance to showcase his athletic ability in center field, roaming from left center to right center, more room to cover. You can see the kind of ground that he can cover with the athletic ability and the speed that he has.
So 1 out now, runners still at first and second. Here's Russell Martin. Martin had a soft single to left field his first time up. One ball and no strikes. Martin, the veteran backstop. Toronto acquired him last year. Needed some upgrading behind the plate. He signed on as a free agent with the Blue Jays. Rua has this one measured pretty well and left. 2 gone.
Well, Buzz, you've commented a couple of times on Cesar Ramos's ability to get the Blue Jays off balance to hit the ball on a bad part of the bat. There's another example of it right there. Martin has home run power. He hasn't hit one yet this year, but he certainly has the home run power. But he hit that ball right off the end of the bat. There's been a number of balls hit that way in this game as Cesar continues to change speeds and have good results.
Yeah, throwing both a very slow curveball and a straight changeup with good effect. Both of them. Well, here's the number 9 man, Darwin Barney. Barney, a fly ball to center. Back in the second inning. Ryan Holiday down to both knees to block that pitch in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes. Barney, that .308 average. A home run, 5 driven in. He's got SMOAK at second, Tulowitzki at first. One ball and 1 strike after the foul.
Talking about Russell Martin and home run power last year for the Blue Jays. He had his best home run season. He hit 23 home runs. This year he's been up almost 100 times and has not hit a home run yet.
Yeah, I think I mentioned last night, this is his second longest career streak without a home run to start a season.
Yeah.
2-1. Martin went 217 at bats with the Dodgers 1 year in Los Angeles and without a home run. Barney, meanwhile, ahead in the count, 2-1. Up the middle, but that's right where Odor was stationed. He beats the sliding Tulowitzki to the bag, and that'll do it. Nice job by Ramos. Strands 2. Bottom of the 4th coming up. 1-1.
to pass along our condolences to the family of Round Rock Express President Chris Almendaris. They suffered the loss of their wife, Jana Almendaris, yesterday. She battled brain cancer for the last year very valiantly, and a lot of the players here in Arlington who have made stops in Round Rock remembered her fondly today. Jeff Bannister wearing Team Jana socks, and one of those guys who remembered Jana fondly was Ryan Rilla.
Thoughts and prayers up here go out to them. Fortunately, I was lucky to spend some time with her and get to meet her in AAA when I was there. And you know, it's just a tough situation. You know, they're big believers in God and faith. And you know, Chris and the whole Team Jana movement has been very inspirational to all of us.
So Jana fought bravely. Our condolences, of course, to Chris and his family as they mourn the loss of Jana. She did have such a positive impact on all those who came in contact with her, guys.
All right, Em, thank you very much. Sad loss for the Ranger family, and certainly for the Almendaris. Nomar Mazara leading off here, and he goes down swinging. Now, it was dropped, and so the play will be finished at first base, and Nomar now 1 out of 2 after having singled his first time up. 4 strikeouts now for Sanchez.
He's got some great stuff, boy. 95, 96 mile-an-hour hard sinker. As you mentioned, Buzz, it's almost impossible to get the ball in the air for a right-hand hitter. Right-hand hitter's hitting about 160 against him in his career. No home runs. And last 3 times he's pitched, he's gone 7 innings in those starts. One of them was against the Rangers. Rangers managed to get 3 runs against him. That's one of the best outputs any team's had against him this year. 3 earned runs or less in 16 of his 18 career starts.
And just nailing down that outside corner. Adrian said, "Are you sure?" Yeah, Dan Iasoni said, "Yep." All right, TXU power player to watch. Adrian Beltre, last 7 ball games, a 3.08 average. He goes down to 1 knee and pops it high in the air, but it'll move foul back into the seats. 6 for 11 in those 7 games with runners in scoring position for Beltre. 9 runs driven in. So our TXU Energy power player to watch. And there's the trademark Beltre swing.
I'd like to go to a Little League game and see a Little Leaguer that loved Adrian copy that swing.
Who did we see the other day up here?
Yeah, there's been
much success.
There's been a couple this year, and each time we've seen the swing, our cameras went to Adrian, who had a big smile, big proud smile on his face, like, "Atta boy."
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Glad to see you like that swing. You're looking pretty good with it.
We have not seen anybody yet, though, do it like Adrian. That go down to that 1 knee and hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Hit a home run.
Yeah. 0-2 the count.
Nobody's on base. You don't have to tell them to hold up. Just getting in practice in case there was a man on base.
Looked like he's just seen a spider. Oh. You never know with him what you're going to get. That's great. Some of the greatest natural reactions I've ever seen. The 1-2 pitch from Sanchez. Now, I know what you're going to get there.
I'd have to think that right-hand hitters do that quite a bit against Sanchez.
I would think so.
I wouldn't think that the Blue Jays would keep the dirt in front of home plate very hard when he pitches. Might have a tough time in Arizona in that baked infield.
Out of play to the right. Yeah.
They'd hit some sky high. They'd hit some sky high choppers against him.
He can definitely get the worm killers going. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Adrian Beltre with a 1 ball, 2 strike count. Hit well to right field, but right at Bautista. 2 gone. Second time in the last 2 games that Adrian has done that.
Designated hitter, Prince Fielder.
Now with the base is empty. Prince Fielder will step to the plate. Fielder drew a walk leading off the second. Rangers, though, couldn't do anything with it. Ended up having an inning-ending double play in that second frame. In at the knees for strike one. Fielder 1 out of 4 previous matchups against Aaron Sanchez.
A lot of strikes. 36 out of 51 pitches have been strikes. He's walked a couple of guys.
Yeah, not Max Scherzer. Not Max Scherzer territory, but not bad.
No.
I mean, as far as the strike percentage.
Yeah, I'd like to see the last guy that threw 96 strikes in a big league game. Wow.
Big breaking ball, and Fielder gone on strikes. 2 in the inning, 5 in the game for Aaron Sanchez. We have finished 4 innings. It's the Rangers 1 and the Blue Jays 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. Now Cesar Ramos back to the hill. The top of the 5th inning, facing the top of the Blue Jay order. Kevin Pillar, who has singled and tapped back to the mound. Great mustache there.
Boy.
Good changeup. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pillar with that base hit and a stolen base in the 3rd. And he was stranded at second base. A nice job of pitching by Cesar Ramos. Ramos has worked around a couple of pretty touchy situations this afternoon. There's that big Brent Bender that just hung a little bit high and outside. 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. Now Cesar with 75 pitches under his belt. Sure that Doug Brocail and Jeff Bannister beginning to keep a pretty close eye on him. The 3-1 to Pillar. That fills the count. Ramos has had a high of 96 pitches. That was in his start against the Yankees, when he had a spot start in place of Cole Hamels. Other than that, he really hasn't gone much over 50. Base hit to left field. Rua going over to cut it off. Pillar Going for two. Rua dropped at the throw, not in time. Backed up by Moreland. Ryan Rua going over backhand, bobbled it just momentarily, and that was all Pilar needed. He scampered in with a double to lead off the fifth.
Yeah, Pilar hustled out of the box, took the turn, and as soon as he saw the bobble, he went. Strong throw, but tough to handle. The way the ball bounced close to the bag made it tough for Rugi to catch the ball and make the tag. Bounced a little bit sooner, might have had a play.
So over the fourth straight inning now, the Blue Jays have had their leadoff man aboard. Here's Josh Donaldson. Didn't really want to swing at it, but it was too late when he decided not to. 0-1. Donaldson has grounded to second and fly to left field. One ball and one strike. Donaldson now 0 for 4 against Ramos. Blue Jays have 7 hits. And so far, Cesar Ramos has limited them to just the 1 run. That was in the second inning. Two balls and a strike. Rangers defend Donaldson on the infield by shading him way around to the left. Odor almost behind the bag at second. Elvis, as you can see, way over in the hole. Moreland about 20 feet off the first base line. And that's a little bit high. 3 balls and a strike. Now Donaldson batting second in the order. Jose Bautista will follow. Ramos reading the signs from Brian Holiday. Now left-handers ready and time called. Ramos with a 3-1. Down the right field line. That's going to slice back into the seats. And it fills the count. Andrew Faulkner just up and throwing now in the Ranger bullpen as Cesar Ramos gotten over the 80 pitch mark. Setting himself for the 3-2 pitch to Donaldson. Look out. Wow. A strikeout and a loose bat, and that went right over.
It sure did.
Everybody and into the Blue Jay dugout.
I hope everybody was watching. Looks like Encarnacion was watching, Smoke was watching. Boy, if you just happened to be walking down the tunnel and you weren't watching, that bat had some velocity, a lot like the one Adrian let go of the other night.
Yeah.
That's a lethal weapon going through, but fortunately everybody sees it. Wow.
I think the phone to the bullpen took a beating. That's okay. Those can be replaced.
Really good 3-2 pitch from Caesar. Off-speed pitch. Really fooled Donaldson. He's done some nice pitching.
He has.
Over the last 3 or 4 innings, getting out of jams.
Yep.
Last inning was first and second, nobody out. Pitched his way out of it. Man on second, nobody out. Got a long way to go to pitch out of this one, though, with Bautista and Encarnacion coming up next. But he got Donaldson. Rangers have held Donaldson 0 for 13 so far in the series.
And Doug Brocail out with some instructions about the Jose Bautista at bat. Bautista is struck out, grounded to second. 1 ball and no strikes. Now Bautista now 1 for 9 against Cesar Ramos. Those at bats, of course, go back to Ramos time with the Tampa Bay Rays. And in the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bautista, a .212 average after the 0 for 2. 6 home runs, 22 driven in. 2-1. And again, defensively, just like against Donaldson, the Rangers shifted around to the left with Odor. Maybe 2 steps to the first base side of second. Elvis cutting that hole down. Outfield playing very deep and a few steps around to the left also. The 2-1 pitch is coming. 3-1.
Borderline pitch. Could have gone the pitcher's way.
That one just missed outside. So Ramos trying both sides of the plate, couldn't get either to be called by Dan Iasonia. And a walk puts Bautista aboard. So first and second with 1 out. Edwin Encarnacion coming up. That is the first free pass issued this afternoon by Ramos. Encarnacion has doubled and scored, and he has struck out. So it's been both ends of the hitting spectrum here this afternoon. Encarnacion, a pretty good candidate though for a double play. That pitch outside, ball 1. Ramos a check of second. A ball and a strike. R.A. Dickey, who was masterful here on Friday night, lounging on the upper bench in the dugout. Brian Holiday going to go out and have a chat with Ramos. Make sure they're on the same page. A leadoff double by Pilar. He's still at second base, 1 out later. Jose Bautista with the walk is over at first. 1-1 ball game in the top of the 5th inning. 2 balls and a strike.
Caesar's doing everything he can to keep the ball away from the middle of the plate to the guys in the middle of the order. Trying to get him to swing at that sinking pitch down and away. Maybe get a ground ball to shortstop. Almost.
Yep.
Took a little off, way out in front of it. Changed speeds. He has changed speeds very well today.
The bad part about the way he's pitching today, he hasn't had enough ground balls hit sharply enough to turn a double play. Now the crowd, and it's a pretty good size one here on Sunday afternoon, trying to get behind their Rangers. 2-2 pitch. Runners on the move. The pitch is high. The throw is late. And a double steal puts Pilar at third, Bautista at second. And a 3-2 count to Encarnacion.
Now the Rangers have had some success this year on a double steal, throwing out the back runner. But Bautista got a good jump. See how far he is off second base. The throw is still an accurate throw. Not really a close play, but Bautista had a huge head start at first base, with Mitch not holding him on, obviously.
And now the 3-2 pitch. Just a little bit high and outside for ball 4. That's going to load him up for Justin Smoak.
Well, there's a couple of pitches in that at bat that could have gone either way, could have gone the pitcher's way, but they didn't.
And that is going to do it for Cesar Ramos as Jeff Bannister out of the dugout. He has made the call to the bullpen. This is the second visit to the mound in this inning. So Ramos, 4 1/3 innings, will leave in a 1-1 ball game, but he has baggage at every base that are his responsibility. Andrew Faulkner, the left-hander, coming on. We will take a timeout. And we are back right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
One ball game here in the top of the 5th, and Jeff Bannister says the bullpen is a work in progress, and so is his decision making in terms of the bullpen.
It's always one of the biggest challenges for a manager, especially when things aren't playing out the way that you felt like they would coming out of spring training. And it doesn't always work out that way. So, look, we continue to evaluate that situation. And to your point, we have not been as good as we thought we were going to be.
And that's probably been the most difficult part and perplexing part about this bullpen, is that it seemed to be the strong suit coming out of spring training for this team, considering the past performances of the guys, especially at the back end. And they haven't gotten the same performances, the same results as they got last year. And so things are ever changing and ever evolving. One thing we do know, Sean Tolleson not available today because of the workload that he's experienced over the last several days. Everything at this point, as I mentioned before, a bit of a TBA situation.
All right, Em, thanks very much. An important point, especially now that we're in the 5th inning and already the bullpen being put to use here this afternoon. Justin SMOAK, the hitter, 1 ball and 1 strike. He has the bases full of Blue Jay teammates. A double and 2 walks have filled him up with 1 out. SMOAK has struck out and singled. Maybe Odor, Andrews, Moreland. 4-6-3. There you go. Nobody does it better than the Rangers. That is double play number 53 for the season, the most in the major league. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. On to the bottom of the 5th, 1-1. Andrew Faulkner came in with the bases loaded and 1 out. And facing Justin Smoak, he got exactly what Jeff Bannister was hoping for. At 4-6-3, Odor to Andrus to Moreland. Fire put out, and a nice job by the Rangers and Andrew Faulkner. Now Mitch Moreland will start off the Ranger 5th inning. Moreland, Andrus, and Rua. Pitch at the knees for a strike. Mitch reached on a fielder's choice in the second. 0 for 1 this afternoon, now hitting at 248 as he faces Sanchez. And again, the Blue Jays in an extreme overshift. 2-1. Donaldson, the only Toronto player on the left side of the diamond, and he's almost at a straightaway shortstop position. Everybody else manning the right side. Smoak, underhand to Sanchez covering. That's out number 1. Next will be Elvis Andrus. Well, folks, you know him and you love him. The red, the green, and the blue dots from the Texas Rangers dot race. This season, you can collect all 3 dots in a limited edition bobblehead series presented by Nitto Tires. The blue dot is the first one of the series, and it'll be given away to the first 15,000 fans on Sunday, May 29th. Rangers take on the Pirates in interleague play. Log on to TexasRangers.com to get your tickets today for the 29th. Elvis 0 for 1 with a double play grounder. 1 ball and 1 strike. Average at 285 for the Rangers shortstop. Last couple of weeks, he has seen his batting average dip, from the mid 300s down to its current level. Last 14 games, Elvis just a 212 average, but he's shown signs the last couple of games of getting things back together. He's had a hit in each of the last 2. 2-2 now. Sanchez with his 62nd pitch of the afternoon. This is outside. The count is full. So Elvis trying to get aboard with 1 out here in the 5th inning. He'll be followed by the Ranger left fielder Ryan Rua. Payoff pitch. High and tight. Low bridge to Elvis. He takes the walk and he's aboard. And Elvis has been running lately. He might see if he can get a good jump and get himself into scoring position. And before Rua steps in, let's send it over to John Radigan for a Chevy game break. All right, John, thank you. White Sox had a little trouble with the Yankees in that series. They beat up on their pitching staff a little bit.
Yeah, they had a little trouble with the Rangers, too.
Yeah.
Finally.
Rua drew a walk his first time. Pounder into the hole. The second for 1. The return not in time.
Ooh, that's a close one. They might look at that.
Elvis making sure he had a legal slide going into second.
Let's check it out. No.
Yeah.
Tough to overturn that one, it looks like.
And the Blue Jays say, let's play on. Not a problem.
Take a look at Elvis's slide into second. Slides way before the base. Does whatever he can under the new guidelines to disrupt the play. Last time Ryan was on first base, he walked to lead off the third. He did steal second. Came around and eventually scored on Ian Desmond's double.
Ryan Holiday had a sacrifice bunt his first time up. Laid down a beauty. Got Rua from second to third from where he scored. Sanchez a check of first and misses outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Well, Sanchez, who started the game by throwing strike after strike, has kind of cooled off in that category a bit. 66 pitches, 43 of them strikes, 23 balls. Three balls, no strikes. Holiday now has worked the count very much in his favor. He is trying to get aboard and join Rua. Rougned Odor will follow. There's the pitch by inning pitch count for Sanchez. 3-1. Ryan Holiday, the TCUX winner of the Johnny Bench Award for the best collegiate catcher his last year. Hit well to left center field. Going back is Pilar. It's over his head and off the wall. Rua steaming around third. Here comes the throw to the plate. It's not in time. And Ryan Holiday and the Ranger catchers doing it again. An RBI double. It is 2-1 Texas.
Brian steps up to the plate against a right-hand pitcher who's never given up a home run to a right-hand hitter and put a charge in one. I thought he might have one much like the one Brian Wilson hit. Bobby Wilson hit. Brian Wilson might have sung one out of here, but not going to hit one out of here. But he put a charge in that ball. Not many right-hand hitters have made that kind of contact against Aaron Sanchez. Hit off the bottom of the wall.
Well, Rangers, first time today they take the lead. It is 2-1 Texas. And Ryan Holiday with his 8th RBI.
Well, both times a walk has led to the Ranger run.
Yep. Here's Rougned Odor, who has faced Sanchez twice today and has come empty on both of them. Yanks that pitch foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rougned has gone down swinging both times. Well, the Rangers have but 3 hits this afternoon. But they have used them judiciously. They have a pair of run-scoring doubles.
Both with 2 outs.
Right.
Rougned's had a lot of opportunities at that curveball and so far hasn't caught up with one. That's a very good curveball by Sanchez too. Sharp, a big curveball, but sharp breaking. Hasn't hung many of them either.
1 ball, 2 strikes with Holiday out at second. There's another one, and that's foul tipped straight down. Rougned just able to get enough of a wood on the ball to stay alive. Rangers have gotten the lead here in the 5th inning. Odor trying to expand that lead as Holiday gets his lead from second. Got him swinging. Went upstairs. Odor strikes out for the 3rd time, but the Rangers in the 5th get a run on 1 hit and leave 1. We're going to the 6th inning. It's now Texas 2 and Toronto 1. 105 game. Yeah, take your lunch break, come on out to the ballpark. Enjoy all the dollar hot dogs you need, courtesy of the Texas Chili Company. Just visit TexasRangers.com for tickets or call 972-RANGERS if you prefer. Well, Ranger fans getting something to cheer about as the Rangers take the lead 2-1. And now Andrew Faulkner working the 6th inning. Troy Tulowitzki to start things off, and he takes strike 1. Tulowitzki is single in 2 trips. He'll be followed by Michael Saunders and Russell Martin. Tulowitzki a 189 average. And Faulkner missing high. Eight home runs, second on the Blue Jay team to Josh Donaldson. Donaldson with 9. 20 RBI, so he's been productive. And he hits one up the middle and into center field. Another leadoff base hit. That is 5 consecutive innings now that the Blue Jays have had their leadoff man aboard via a base hit. The 1 on, nobody out. Michael Saunders had an RBI single in the 2nd, flied to center in the 4th inning. Blue Jays now with 8 hits on the afternoon. One ball and no strikes. Andrew Faulkner came in last inning and inherited a bases loaded 1-out situation. Got the double play ground ball off the bat of Justin SMOAK to end the threat. He knocked Saunders back 2-0. For the year now, for Andrew Faulkner, he has come into the ball game inherited 8 runners. Only 2 of them have scored. Well, he has gotten the job done when he's come into tough situations. Tom Wilhelmsen, right-hander, loosening in that Ranger bullpen. Faulkner, a big sigh, and now he's set for the 2-0 pitch. 2-1 on the weakly hit ground ball foul. Saunders, as you can tell, likes the ball out away from him a little bit. He likes to get those arms extended. Rangers trying to make sure they keep that fastball tight on him. And that might open up the breaking ball. Got him on the fists again, and that's back and out of play.
Good job of doing just what you said. Run that 93-mile-an-hour fastball. A little bit off the plate, but he got him to swing at it.
Yeah, that's the key. That's not a good pitch. The guy won't swing at it.
Yeah. Got him to swing at it a couple of times.
Yeah. 2-2. That was a pretty defensive swing by Saunders. And you can see why the pitch tracker showing you that right on the inside corner at the knees. Faulkner again set. Pulled. Odor has it. Has no play as he drops it. He was going to try and get the out at second. And once he lost the handle, Saunders runs pretty well, and he was aboard safely. So first and second with nobody out.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was going to have a play from where he would have fielded that ball at second base. Might have been a better idea just to zero in on first base as hard as he's going toward the line. Looked like he was going to try to throw it to second. That would have been a pretty tough play. Tulowitzki was getting down the line toward second pretty quickly.
Now we're still waiting for the decision. It's going to be an error charged to Rougned Odor on the play. And that's going to bring Jeff Bannister out of the Ranger dugout. With runners at first and second, Bannister's putting the call into the bullpen. He wants Tom Wilhelmsen to come in to face Russell Martin with runners at first and second and nobody out. So Rangers clinging to a 2-1 lead. Wilhelmsen charged with trying to keep it right there. We'll tell you all about it when we come back right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Back in 1973, pitching great Nolan Ryan threw his first of 7 career no-hitters. Beat the Kansas City Royals 3-0 in what was then Royal Stadium, the first no-hit game ever played or ever pitched at Royal Stadium. 43 years ago today. Well, here's Wilhelmsen facing Russell Martin. Runners at first and second. Trying to get Martin to tip his hand as to whether he was going to butt or not, and I would think the answer is probably going to be no. Wilhelmsen, 17th appearance. He had things going the right way, trending the right way, but on Friday night gave up a couple of home runs in just a third of an inning. Drops that breaking ball in. Wilhelmsen came on for the 8th inning, gave up a solo home run to Edwin Encarnacion and a 2-run blast to Troy Tulowitzki. Martin today has singled and flied to left field. Tom, a belt high set.
Nice job by Brian. Keep that ball in front of him. Big, hard, downward breaking curveball. One of those balls with a lot of spin on it could easily kick off the catcher and roll away, but Brian did a great job of smothering that ball and keeping it in front of him. Well, it seems like it has been one jam after the other. After a 1-2-3 first inning, Rangers have been pitching their way out of jam since.
1 ball, 1 strike. On the outside corner. Cutter, slider. And it's 1-2. Russell Martin facing the 32-year-old right-hander Tom Wilhelmsen. Tulowitzki at second, Saunders at first. And Martin able to stay alive by really reaching for that slow curveball. Martin 0 for 6 in his career against Wilhelmsen. Tom trying to make it 0 for 7. 2-2 now. Ranger infield in a pretty good position. If Martin hits that ground ball up the middle of the diamond, hits it to Beltre at third. They go to second. That's one out. And a wild throw. A nice job by Mitch Moreland to come off the bag and save Rougned a throwing error.
It was potentially a double play, but it wasn't going to be easy. It was a high chopper. Adrian had to play back on it. If everything went perfectly, they might have been able to turn it, but it was not an easy attempt. Couldn't get a good hop without playing back. Gave the runner plenty of time to get down and disrupt the play at second.
And Jeff Bannister is going to go out and talk to the second base umpire, Bob Davidson, about the slide, I would guess. Don't know of any other reason he would be talking to him. And the clarification on that rule now is that for the double play to be called, you have to have made an illegal slide and impeded the infielder from completing a double play attempt. Before, it didn't matter whether he was trying to make one or not if he'd had an illegal slide, but now you have to put in the context of, was the slide illegal and did it impede the infielder from completing the double play attempt? Well, that's the current ruling that they will take a look back. So the challenge, I would imagine, used by Jeff Bannister, getting the umpires to look at that slide and determine if it was, first of all, a legal slide, and secondly, if it impeded the chance that Rougned Odor had to make the double play. Rangers challenge brought to you by Ford this afternoon, and Dale Scott, the crew chief, and Bob Davidson, the man who made the call at second, with the headsets on, checking with the replay command center in New York. This didn't take long.
Yep.
And the out at second base, and it is going to be the double play that they were looking for.
He slid before the bag, but he obviously rolled into the fielder past the bag. Lost contact with the bag, definitely impeded the play at first base. Oh, wait.
That runner stays there, I guess.
Oh, they just called it an out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought they were calling it a double play. I mean, basically, all they had to say was the play stands.
Well, they ruled that the play did not violate the slide rule, so the call was confirmed, the out at second base.
I thought when he came out and pumped his fist that he was out. I thought it was going to be a double play.
No, after all that, it's a fielder's choice.
Yeah.
And you got runners at first and third. One out now.
There's never any doubt that he was out at second base.
And Darwin Barney is at the plate. Yeah, I didn't think there was. The bunt out in front of the plate. Nobody at first base and nobody to throw to.
Wow. Wow.
Barney put the bunt down. Rougned Odor was nowhere to be found. Mitch Moreland charging down the line. And that left no one covering first. And it loads the bases again.
Yeah, that's an easy out if someone's covering first base. I'm not exactly sure whether that was a safety squeeze, in which case the runner at third did the right thing. A squeeze where the runner missed the sign. Not exactly sure, but if Roogie gets over to cover first, that's an easy out.
Oh, now it takes the Blue Jays back to the top of the order. Kevin Pillar, who was a tough guy to double up because of his speed. See Rougned making a late break to first, recognizing that Moreland was charging down the line as the bunt was put down. 1-0 pitch. Elvis, a hard one, drops it to second. That's what they get and all they'll get. In to score the tying run is TULOWITZKI. Well, the Rangers really having trouble in this inning. That was not an easy play, but it's one I'm sure that Elvis will tell you he should make.
Yeah, these innings seem to happen against the Blue Jays. There's already been one error to let Saunders get on, then an error basically by not covering first base on the bunt. That's not an error because they do get an out, but potentially a double play ball that wasn't turned.
No, 2 gone now. A run across. We're tied up again. It's 2-2 this time, and Josh Donaldson steps in. Donaldson 0 for 3 this afternoon. 1 ball and no strikes. Donaldson has grounded out, flied out, and struck out with all those at bats against the starter, Cesar Ramos. Wilhelmsen with a 1-0. Now 2-0. The Rangers, as Tom told you, really bottled up Donaldson in this year's series. This is the 7th game between the 2 teams, and Donaldson with just 2 hits total in those 7 games. 3 balls, no strikes. Now that Donaldson reaches, it would load the bases again for Jose Bautista.
We've had a bouncer up the middle, a slow ground ball to second that was an error, a slow ground ball to third, a bunt, and then a hard hit ball to short that could have been a double play potentially.
Wilhelmsen not taking any chances, went with the breaking ball on 3-0 and missed. Oh, 4-pitch walk puts Donaldson aboard, and here comes Bautista. Bautista walked his last time up. He is 0 for 2 officially this afternoon. Wilhelmsen got Bautista to pop up on Friday night. He was the first hitter that Tom faced. Left center field, that is going to clear off the bases. It is deep up the alley. Against the wall, 1 run home, 2 runs home. Here comes the 3rd one. Donaldson slides and safe. A 3-run double by Bautista. It is a 5-2 Toronto lead.
Well, you hear this a lot. It's the same old story. You can only give a team so many outs in 1 inning before the damage gets done, and that's pretty much the case this inning. Several extra outs, and then the big hit by Bautista. Gets a hanging curveball and put a charge in it.
Close play at the plate. Nice throw by Elvis, but not to be. Here's Encarnacion. Fastball up and in, knocked him down. And I believe hit it. Yeah, it did. Encarnacion, who hit the solo home run the other night against Tom Wilhelmsen, got a little early Christmas card from him.
First baseman Justin Smoak.
Well, the hit by pitch puts Encarnacion aboard. 2 on now. Still 2 out. And Justin Smoak, the 9th hitter the Blue Jays have sent to the plate in this inning, will come up. Smoak 1 for 3 this afternoon. All of them hitting as a right-hander. He turns around now to bat left-handed against the right-hander Wilhelmsen. 0-1. Smoak against Wilhelmsen on Friday night. Hit a double right before Tulowitzki's home run. Now the Blue Jays putting a 4 spot up here in the 6th inning. been aided by a walk, an error, a misplayed bunt play, and assorted other incidents.
Yeah, potential double play that wasn't turned.
Yeah.
So there's only one error in the inning, but it has not been a cleanly played inning.
Wilhelmsen with a 2-1. Pulled the string a little bit, and it's 2-2. Chances with runners in scoring position for the Blue Jays today, and season average at 226. And I'll tell you why. It's been a 5-2 game instead of much worse. Got him swinging. Well, the strikeout ends things, but the Blue Jays come up with 4 runs on 3 hits and an error. They leave 2 after 5.5. It's now Toronto 5 and your Rangers 2. Well, it's time now for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Today's jackpot is worth $500 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Bobby Lawler from Bedford will win $500. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Bobby is going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Ian Desmond starting things off now against Aaron Sanchez here in the 6th. Sanchez, who gave up the then go-ahead run in the 5th inning, now has a 3-run advantage to protect. Desmond, an RBI double in 2 trips. Ian, his 20th RBI of the season. Donaldson for out number 1. Next will be Nomar Mazara. Mazara had the first Ranger hit off of Aaron Sanchez back in the 1st inning. Laced a single to left field. Last time up, Nomar went down swinging. Blue Jays with 5 runs on 10 hits this afternoon. Rangers 2 runs on just 3 hits. One ball and no strikes. Mazara, of course, the April Rookie of the Month in the American League. still leading all rookies in on-base percentage. He's tied for first in walks. He's drawn 11 of them. Second in runs with 16. He's second in hits with 35. Make that 36 now. And he's fourth in home runs with 4. His first impression is going to be a lasting one. Certainly has been on the Rangers and their fans. Hard hit, but right into the glove of Justin Smoak, who picks it right off the dirt top. 2 gone.
Third baseman Adrian Beltre.
A pretty good pitch count for Sanchez, even though he's walked 3 batters in the game. He's still in pretty good shape as far as pitch count goes. 80 pitches. Last 3 starts that he's had, he's gone 7 innings. The way he's pitching right now, he's a pretty good shot at that again.
Beltre, a high drive to center. Pilar going back at the track, at the wall. Goodbye. Adrian Beltre found a way to elevate Aaron Sanchez. For Beltre, his 6th home run of the year. It's a 5-3 Toronto lead.
That's the first home run that Sanchez has given up to a right-hand hitter.
And Bobby Lawler of Bedford. Maybe a check for $500 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In coming your way. Courtesy of Adrian Beltre. You got a much better chance if you make him elevate the ball, and Adrian did just that. Now Fielder taps out to Justin Smoak at first with Sanchez covering, and that'll do it. Rangers, though, get a run closer. Adrian Beltre launches his 6th home run of the year. A solo blast. You get a run on 1 hit, and nobody left. We'll go to the 7th at Globe Life Park. It's now the Blue Jays 5 and the Rangers 3. Rangers in and out of hot water, but a double play with the bases full. Dropping up Cesar Ramos and Andrew Faulkner got out of that tough one. And then Ryan Holiday put the Rangers on top with a booming double to left center field. That made it a 2-1 Ranger lead, but that did not last long. Next half inning, Jose Bautista cleaning off the bases, a 3-run double. Made it a 5-2 game. Adrian Beltre would add his 6th home run of the year. It's now 5-3 as we go to work in the 7th inning.
Well, prior to that, the Rangers almost had back-to-back innings with bases loaded double plays. Couldn't quite execute the second time, though.
Troy Tulowitzki leading off here in the 7th. 2 balls, no strikes. Tulowitzki started the 6th inning by singling to center. He is 2 for 3 here this afternoon, getting that batting average up closer to the Mendoza line. He's at 195. And he's going to have it go up a little bit more as he gets one by Ian Desmond in left center field, and Tulowitzki will be in with a leadoff double.
Three straight hits for Tulowitzki, a couple of singles, scored a run in the 6th, and now a double to lead off the 7th. Fastball outside corner, lower quadrant. Put a good swing on it. Looked like Ian put a lot of time into thinking he was going to catch that ball in the air, and by the time he realized he couldn't, the ball took a skip and got by him.
The kind of outfielder version of being caught in between.
Looked like it.
Yeah. Here's Michael Saunders. Wilhelmsen misses low for ball 1. Matt Bush made his major league debut here on Friday night, loosening in that Ranger pen. Saunders loops one to right field. That's going to fall for a hit. Tulowitzki will stop at third, even though Mazzara bobbled it a bit. First 2 men aboard here in the 7th inning. 1st and 3rd with nobody out for Russell Martin. Jeff Bannister a little impatient, as you can understand. And now Doug Brocail is going to go out to the mound. Brocail trying to slow things down a little bit, give Matt Bush an opportunity to get further along in the loosening process. Our RF camera down the right field line, giving you a good view of a large crowd here on this Sunday afternoon. Rangers drew over 47,000 last night. It looks to be in the neighborhood of 40, maybe 41,000 here this afternoon.
Yeah, an excellent weekend, fan-wise.
Toby Mack putting on a concert after the ball game, a big red out weekend here at Globe Life Park. 1st and 3rd with nobody out. Russell Martin, who is 1 for 3, steps in. Martin had a single back in the 2nd inning. Martin hitting at 170 as he faces Wilhelmsen. And Tom drops in that big overhand hook. 0-1. Check of first. Saunders a modest lead. A ball and a strike. Wilhelmsen faced Martin with the bases loaded. He was the first hitter that he faced when he came into the ball game. Got Martin to hit a ground ball, but not sharply enough to turn the double play. Two and one. Five runs on 12 hits this afternoon. Rangers captain. And inside goes ball 3. Wilhelmsen ready. And misses for ball 4. That'll load him up with nobody out. And Jeff Bannister making the walk out to the mound. He signals that he wants Matt Bush to come into the ball game, and that's going to do it for Tom Wilhelmsen. So he will leave with the bases full, nobody out here in the 7th. Again, the Blue Jays threatening. They put 4 on the board in the 6th. They're looking for more here in the 7th. We'll see if Matt Bush, making his second Major League appearance, can stop this onslaught. We're back right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Friday night when Matt Bush came out of the Ranger bullpen and made his Major League debut. He got Donaldson to look at a third strike, got Batista to pop up, and got an Encarnacion to do the same. Quite a Major League debut for the 30-year-old right-hander Matt Bush. Something that he will never forget, and showed why Rangers have been extremely happy with what he has done in the short time that he has been a member of the Ranger organization. Signed with the Rangers last December. The backstory, of course, most of you know pretty well by now, and spent 3.5 years in prison. Came out, worked with Roy Silver, who got acquainted with him from his camp in Tampa Bay. And he has made it to the big leagues. And working now for his second time. He's facing Darwin Barney with the bases full and nobody out. Barney had a bunt single his last time up. Didn't really want to go around, but couldn't stop himself. At 98-mile-an-hour heat down low.
Have to get it started a little bit quick to hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and sometimes you start it and can't stop it. Recognize the pitch after it's a little bit too late.
Bush back to the plate. 2-1. The one thing that Matt Bush has shown both in spring training and then with Frisco this year, not afraid to throw strikes. He only had 4 walks in Frisco in 17 innings of work, coupled with 18 strikeouts. 2-2.
Barney had a little bit of a problem with Jake Diekman's fastball. He swung and missed at 3 of them last night, all of them 96 and 97 miles an hour.
Well, this big crowd now getting behind Matt Bush. The 2-2 pitch. Called strike 3.
A little problem with that one, too.
I don't think he saw it in time.
99. That low strike just, it stays at the bottom of the strike zone and doesn't sink as much as a lot of guys' fastballs do. That one just stays right there.
Looks
in
like
the strike zone.
Identical pitch that he struck Donaldson on out on the other night, on Friday night.
Yep.
Just would not drop. So a very big 1 out. Base is still full, and here's Kevin Pillar for his 5th at bat. Pillar 2 for 4 with an RBI. Strike 1. Pillar a .279 average as he faces Bush. He's got Tulowitzki at 3rd, Saunders at 2nd, Martin at 1st. Here's the cutting fastball action that Matt gets sometimes. Away from the right-hander. And is fouled down the 3rd baseline, and Bush now ahead of the count. And 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's that pitch that he's developed. He calls it a slider, 93 miles an hour.
Well, just about the speed of an average major league fastball. A little bit quicker. That's what you and I are used to calling a slider.
Yeah.
Not that speed, but
yeah,
the action.
A lot of people today would call it a cutter.
Yeah. Still a ball and 2 strikes. You know, the old baseball axiom, if you get bases loaded and nobody out, you're looking for a couple of strikeouts. And the Rangers feel like they have the right guy on the mound. Matt Bush, who struck out Darwin Barney, looking. And now he's gotten Kevin Pillar in a 1-2 hole. Flared down the right side, but that will peel off and go back into the 2nd row of seats.
No, you would think that a player who's been converted from a position player to a pitcher, basically hasn't pitched in 3 or 4 years, and throws 96 to 99 miles an hour, would be a little more erratic with his control than he is. Looks like he's got a nice, compact, smooth delivery, and has no problems throwing strikes.
He had Pillar way out in front of that curveball.
I could see why after that first one you see. Actually, you have to give him a little bit of credit for being able to make contact on that pitch after several pitches between 93 and 98 miles an hour.
He goes from 99 down to 79 and still made contact. That's pretty good.
Give Pillar some credit. Didn't look like much, but under the circumstances, it's pretty good.
Bush ready for another 1-2 pitch. In the air to center field. That's going to be deep enough to score Tulowitzki. Desmond with a catch. Throw comes into 2nd. Tulowitzki down the line to score. And the sacrifice fly by Pillar makes it a 6-3 Toronto lead.
That was good at bat for Pillar. Saw some great stuff and got the job done. Hung in there by making contact on the curveball. Then drove the ball far enough to get the sacrifice fly. Good at bat. Good job.
2 away now. And a rematch. First time in Matt Bush's major league career. He said he's going to face a guy for the 2nd time. That would be Josh Donaldson. Struck out Donaldson on that 3-2 fastball here on Friday night. Donaldson has walked and scored. 0 for 3 otherwise. 1 ball and no strikes. We got Saunders, who moved to 3rd on that fly ball to center. And over at 1st base, Russell Martin. Bush will look over his shoulder at 1st. And misses just outside. That's that slider. 2 balls, no strikes. Donaldson, well, he has seen that batting average plummet in the 7 games that he's faced the Rangers. Down to 260 now.
Whoa.
Almost walked into that. 3 balls, no strikes. And if you're Matt Bush, you can't assume that Donaldson has the take sign on 3-0 here. Obviously, you want to throw him a strike, but it's got to be a quality strike. Runners at the corners, 2 away.
Good call, Buzz.
3-1. I don't know that anybody in the middle of this order has a take sign.
No, they've got pretty good track records too. This guy's the MVP. Bautista's hit 50 home runs before, and Encarnacion, pretty good bet for 35 to 40. So, yeah, if they've got a 3-0 pitch, they can get a fastball they like. Why not?
Moved it upstairs a little bit. 3-2. And now the crowd going to stand in support of Matt Bush and the Rangers. Full count and 2 outs, so Martin will get a running start at first. Bush ready for the payoff pitch to Donaldson. Fly ball center field. Tracking it, Ian Desmond. He has it, and that will do it for the Blue Jays. They do score a run, and they lead 6-3 as we take the stretch. And now let's join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Will you please rise and direct your attention now to the area behind home plate and welcome Vibe. In honor of all the veterans who have served our country and the servicemen and women who are currently stationed at home and around the world, Vibe will now perform God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Carlos Beltran hit his 400th career home run this afternoon in New York against the White Sox. 4th switch hitter to hit 400 or more home runs in Major League history. And to Albert Pujols last night, career home run number 568. And that was a winner for the Angels against Seattle. He's now one shy of tying Rafael Palmeiro for 10th or 12th on the all-time list of home run greats. Now Mitch Moreland starting off the Rangers' 7th inning, a 6-3 Toronto lead. Moreland has reached on a fielder's choice and grounded out 0 for 2 today, hitting at 246. It'll be Moreland, Andrus, and Rua facing Aaron Sanchez. Sanchez still a very manageable 85 pitches under his belt. That'll be out of play down the left side.
But based on the way Sanchez has been pitching this year, and the last couple of years for that matter, Rangers have had a decent day against him. He doesn't generally give up this many runs. They've had two out base hits, hard hit balls, extra base hits, and a home run. First home run by a right-hand hitter against him in his brief major league career.
And Moreland strokes one to left center. That is up the alley. Pilar trying to cut it off, and he slides to do it, but Moreland able to dig into second with a leadoff double.
But Pilar made an incredible effort to hold him at first base. Went into the gap near the warning track, slid, came up with it, fired it as quick as he can, launched a high fly to second. Looked like Ian Desmond playing center field out there. Like the hustle. He's a heads-up hustling player. That's one of the few balls that Sanchez has hung. Most of his curveballs have been sharp breaking and bottom of the strike zone or slightly out of the strike zone and down. That one stayed up and allowed Mitch to drive it in the gap. There's Pilar pouncing on the ball and firing it as hard as he can.
Now Elvis takes the pitch down and away for ball one. So Mitch, that's his 6th double in his last 25 ball games. Getting one of those streaks now where he starts driving the ball again to the opposite alley. It's fun to watch when that happens. Elvis has drawn a walk and grounded into a double play. 0 for 1. Shoots one to the right side. That's through for a base hit. Moreland being waved around now. Stopped. As Bautista got to the ball quickly. Mike Owen had delusions of grandeur down there. He was going to wave Moreland around. Then he remembered, oh, we're down by 3 runs. I better not do that.
Yeah, and the right fielder throws pretty well.
Yeah.
That's a bad combination. He made the right choice.
But again, Elvis taking advantage of a rather large hole on the right side.
Elvis has the ability to do that. You've got the first baseman holding the runner on. And he found the hole. Rangers need a nice little rally here. Got a good start to it, though.
Well, they've had a lot of practice at it. It's come from behind team. Started in Detroit. They came back for the wins in the last 2 ball games up there. And they did it against the White Sox. They've done it against Toronto. Toronto looks like Chavez out there. No, runners at the corners, nobody out. Ryan Rua has walked and reached on a fielder's choice. He has scored 2 of the 3 Ranger runs here this afternoon. Double play grounder. Barney, Tulowitzki, and SMOAK. In to score is Moreland. But the Blue Jays will take that every day of the week. It cuts it to a 6-4 Blue Jay lead. But there are now 2 outs and the bases are empty for Brian Holiday. No RBI for Rua on that double play grounder. Well, Brian Holiday 1 for 1 with an RBI double. And he came about 4 or 5 feet vertically of hitting a home run off of Aaron Sanchez. That was back in the 5th inning. That temporarily gave the Rangers a 2-1 lead over the Blue Jays in the 5th. Pitch is a little bit low. 2 balls, no strikes. Take a look at our forward leaderboard. We were talking about catchers, and overall Ranger catchers this year have 23 runs driven in. Now, Arizona catching has the most with 32, and Detroit and the Rangers both with 23 are second on that list. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you could have done something similar to that. I don't know if it would have been second last year, but with all the catchers the Rangers had, they kind of ranked much higher than you would have expected in those categories too.
Yeah, Holiday draws the 2-out walk. No, despite the double play, Rangers now have the chance to have the tying run come to home plate here in the 7th inning.
Well, you have a decision to make. You've got a lefty warmed up, but at the same time, Rubinet's had a hard time with Sanchez. He struck out 3 times against him.
No, Robinson Chirinos, Rangers injured catcher, working his way back. He's coming along very nicely and hopes to get out on a rehab assignment in the near future. Well, here's Odor. Rugnet has had no luck at all this afternoon against Sanchez. Sanchez has had his number all 3 times, 3 strikeouts. He's up there hacking and fouls the first pitch back. Odor at 281 now with the average. Well, Rugnet just 1 for his last 17 times to the plate. Holiday the lead from first, and Odor fouls it off.
Yeah, when you're 1 for 17 or having a hard time getting your base hits, this is what you find yourself in more often than not, behind in the count. Seems like that's part of the deal when you're struggling. You're not getting 2-0 and 3-1 counts. You're having to battle back from 0-2, 1-2. That's where Ruby finds himself right here.
Up the middle, off the fist. Barney off balance throw, not in time.
Barney was wanting to go to second, but he didn't have time, and Ruby hustled and beat it out.
Odor with an infield single. There you go, Rugnet.
Maybe that'll be just what he needs.
Well, don't go away, folks. Rangers coming back once again. DeMarlo Hale, the acting manager, going out to the mound after Rugnet Odor got that infield single. So the Rangers have the tying runs aboard with 2 outs here in the 7th inning. Sanchez done for the afternoon. He will leave in favor of the right-hander coming in from the bullpen. We'll tell you all about him when we come back. A timeout. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Here in the 7th inning. They have runners at first and second. Already a run across. They've cut the lead to 6-4. And Jesse Chavez, a 32-year-old veteran reliever, part-time starter, coming on. Oakland traded Sanchez over during the offseason. We got Liam Hendricks in return. Chavez, in his 14th appearance of the year for the Blue Jays, facing Ian Desmond. Boy, and Ian had an idea what he wanted. He got it and fouled it straight back for strike one. Desmond 1 for 3 this afternoon with an RBI double back in the third. Chavez leading all Toronto relievers in strikeouts. Wasn't really noted as a strikeout pitcher with Oakland, but he has come up throwing out of the bullpen a little bit differently than we saw him featuring things as a starter with Oakland. He was a starter the last 3 years, the last 2 years, I should say, with Oakland. 1 ball and 1 strike. One and 2. Desmond lined a double into the right field corner. So he went the other way at the time back in the third inning. Drove in his 20th run of the year. He's got Brian Holiday out at second. Rougned Odor at first. Odor carrying the tying run in this ball game. Chavez this year has held right-handers to a 172 batting average. He is set. The 1-2 pitch.
Boy, he's had 3 good rips at him.
Sure has.
3 high pitches, middle of the plate, 3 great swings. Hasn't quite caught one yet.
Chavez, a Southern California native from San Gabriel in the Valley, and with the Blue Jays now. Drive deep, left field, way back, goodbye. Ian Desmond has turned this game around. A 3-run bomb. The Rangers lead it 7-6.
He had 3 high fastballs, and he had 3 great swings and fouled each one of them off. Then he hung a breaking ball right down the middle of the plate. He had the same swing, only he didn't miss that one. Great inning for the Rangers coming back.
And Nomar Mazara continuing it as he pounds one right up the middle for a base hit.
That's a hanging breaking ball right in the center square. And Ian had warmed up for that one with the 3 swings prior to it. He got that one.
And the Ranger bench going crazy, as you would expect. Another opportunity to come back in the latter stages of the ball game. That's about as much emotion as you're going to see Jeff Bannister show.
Wash might have been overcome after that one.
He might have been. Might have had somebody with a towel waving him on. Giving him oxygen and everything else. Now here's Adrian. Beltre homered to center field his last time up. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, the Rangers have done it again with 2 outs. Their run in the third was with 2 outs. Their run in the 5th was with 2 outs. Their run in the 6th was with 2 outs. And Beltre deep to left field. If it's fair, it's gone. It is foul.
Oh.
Foul by maybe 5 or 6 feet when it got down there.
Yeah, Adrian knew it. We were hoping, but he knew it.
One ball and 2 strikes. Mazzara, the runner at first. Popped up. Smoke calling everybody off. And that'll do it. But not before the Rangers come back. Ian Desmond with his 5th home run of the year. A 3-run jack. The Rangers put 4 on the board. We go to the 8th. Texas on top. 7-6.
For the progressive game of the day, and I think we progressive fan of the day, we got to give it to the Suttons family. They came all the way in from Alaska along with Willow, 6-month-old Willow, taking in her very first game. How'd you become a Ranger fan in Alaska?
Well, Jim, we grew up in East Texas, but now we live in Alaska, and we're diehard Ranger fans for life. And Willow may be Alaska born, but she's Texas blood, and she's a Rangers fan for life.
There we go. Well, here's the bag, Willow. I would give you the mic, but I need this for a second. Oh, what happened here? Uh-oh. Congratulations. Let's go back to Buzz.
All right, Nazi. Well, Matt Bush uncorked the first pitch of the 8th inning and got Joey Batista. He got his attention. And Jeff Bannister out to ask that Iasonia, why was there a warning given?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine someone's going to drill a guy in a 1-run ball game. Bautista was going to be in that position. It would have happened before this.
Jeff Bannister making his case to Iasonia and the crew chief Dale Scott. See Matt Bush going anyplace. He's just kind of standing there seeing what kind of a reaction he got. Batista not really thrilled about it. As they say, stuff happens. Doug Brocail out there to remind Matt that he does have a 1-run lead. Now he's got to do a little pitching to keep Bautista from going crazy. Edwin Encarnacion will be the hitter with Bautista on first.
Every single inning after the first inning, there have been base runners and jams for Ranger pitchers.
Yep. 7 straight innings now. They've had their leadoff man aboard. One ball and no strikes to Encarnacion, who's been hit by a pitch, doubled and walked. 1 out of 2 today. Bush ready for the 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Well, Matt can prevent any damage done here. He just became a fan favorite if he wasn't before. It's the fans that didn't really care for Joey Bautista's bat flip last October. Intentional or not, and I don't think it was, but it made a lot of folks sit up and take notice. Ball 3 is high and away. Encarnacion trying to get aboard to join Bautista. Justin Smoak is in that on-deck circle. Three balls, no strikes. 3-1. Matt Bush, the San Diego native, #1 overall draft pick by the San Diego Padres back in 2004.
Let's see if he can come back from a 3-0 count.
$41,327. Getting behind Matt Bush and the Rangers. Payoff pitch. High in the air to left field. Rua, with plenty of room, camping underneath it, makes the catch for out number 1. Bautista back to first.
Good job right there by Matt, coming back from a 3-0 count to get a dangerous hitter. .25 pitches for Matt. Looks like that's going to be it.
Now you've got Justin Smoak coming up, who is much more dangerous left-handed, especially for the long ball. So Jake Diekman is going to be asked to come in, and Matt Bush getting a few words of wisdom. And listen to the crowd as Matt Bush walks off the field. That is a Ranger Nation thank you to Matt Bush. Pitch and change underway. We'll be back to Globe Life Park right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Thousand fans 14 and older at Globe Life Park. Look at a Rangers beach towel courtesy of Powerade. Come on out and catch the Saturday game against the Pirates and pick up this summer giveaway. Just call 972-RANGERS or visit TexasRangers.com for tickets. Jake Diekman on to face Justin Smoak in the first pitch outside for ball 1. Smoak today 1 for 4 with a single. Diekman appearing in his 19th ball game of the year. Opponents hitting just .208 against him. He misses low and in. 2 balls, no strikes. Jake came on last night, worked 2/3 of an inning, gave up a couple of hits, but no damage in the run column. Bautista, the runner at first, one away here in the 8th inning. Beltre ducked off a tough hop, and the throw is wide down the line, and there we got a foul at second. Bautista picked on the wrong guy as Odor came right at him, and we got the benches emptying now. There's some pent-up emotion going on out of Globe Life Park.
Well, Bautista got the worst of that exchange.
The fans may have been waiting since last October, but it looks like the Rangers and Blue Jays were waiting since last October. There was some serious. You don't normally see that kind of fight in a major league game, but you did today.
Yeah, generally it's a lot of posturing. There was no posturing in that.
Nope, sure wasn't.
Tell you one thing, Rublev didn't waste any time getting a few swings in on Bautista either. Bautista might be hurt.
He could be. Rublev popped him real good.
Well, he picked the wrong guy to slide into second base hard on.
Yeah, Jeff Bannister right in the middle of things.
Yeah, that's still a volatile situation.
Yeah, yes, it is. I think they're going to call a double play for Bautista sliding beyond the bag and interfering with Odor's ability to make a double play. That's Lance Barrett, the third base umpire, talking to Bautista. All of a sudden, this ballpark is filled with electricity. Now comes the hard part, explaining who gets what and why in the whole thing.
Bautista doesn't want to go back.
I think he's probably had enough for one.
I think he had enough of Rublev.
Bannister still John and John Gibbons.
I guarantee you John Gibbons doesn't want any part of Bannister either. All the energy he could muster to get that far out in the outfield.
Beekman's walking off the field, so apparently they're going to call interference on the illegal slide and rule it an inning-ending double play. That's rubbing a little salt in the wound. DeMar LaHale, the acting manager, out there talking to Anaheim, the home plate umpire. And now the umpires will huddle up and see if that is going to be the call. Rangers have already walked off the field. Whatever they heard from the umpires out there was that was going to be a double play, ruled because of the illegal slide by Bautista. We'll see if that stands up. The crew chief, Dale Scott, with Bob Davidson, Lance Barrett, and Dan Iasonia huddled around him. Bullpen crews headed back to their respective bullpens. And the Rangers just walked off the field. So, yeah, that's what we're going to have. We'll see if that is what they indeed get. Bob Davidson on your left.
Well, someone's got to get kicked out of the game, don't they?
I would think so.
Good luck trying to sift through that.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Well, John Gibbons was already kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
So he get kicked out of the game twice.
Well, that's going to add to his fine.
Yeah. The fans got their money's worth today.
Well, they sure have.
We still got plenty of baseball left.
And Dale Scott now. Here's the play as it occurred.
No doubt what he was trying to do at second base.
Sure. And now DeMarlo Hale getting an explanation. Here's the close-up.
Yeah, that's the kind of slide they're trying to eliminate.
Yep. And I think Odor, you saw Odor dropping down. Rudnev said, nope.
Whoa. I think Bautista got all he could handle with that.
Odor's now 2 for 5 today.
Wow. That's some pretty solid contact right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was an illegal slide. That's got to be a double play. That's what they're trying to eliminate. Trying to hurt the middle infielder by sliding past the bag.
Now Dale Scott trying to explain things to Jeff Bannister with the rest of the umpires in support. And Steve Buechele going to come out and see what's going on. Well, Jesse Chavez has gone out to the mound. He is assuming that's what it's going to be. John Gibbons, who had been thrown out and was upstairs when this whole melee started. He got in kind of late. And going on the field after you've been ejected from a ball game during the ball game, I got to think that's going to be a pretty hefty fine on whatever, on top of whatever he's going to be fined.
Or a suspension.
So, Gibbons and Bannister continuing to go at it pretty well. Well, that is all taken care of. Jeff Bannister, a show of emotion as he walked back to the Ranger dugout after the field was cleared. So that's going to do it. We have finished 7½. The double play is ruled. The Rangers maintain a 7-6 lead, and we'll come back from the bottom of the 8th right after this. Well, as you might have guessed, this was not over by any stretch of the imagination. The first pitch of the bottom of the 8th inning plunked Prince Fielder, and it caused the benches to empty, although not quite as seriously taking the field as it did before. But Jesse Chavez immediately was thrown out of the ballgame. DeMarlo Hale, the acting manager, was thrown out. This is the pitch we were talking about. Prince just smiling, said, "You're gone." That's since a warning had been given, that's an automatic ejection. No quibbling about that. And if DeMarlo Hale's gone, the Blue Jays are not only running out of players, they're running out of coaches and managers. And Jeff Bannister out there making sure that his ball club say, "Wait a minute now, we've had enough. Let's go ahead and make sure we win this ball game. That's what we're after now. Can't afford to get any of our guys thrown out." And Adrian, understandably not happy at all about that. Prince Fielder, probably the least bothered of anybody.
Yeah, he gets hit in the thighs. Yeah. Brushed it off, didn't even feel it. He didn't care.
And Prince gets a standing ovation as he walks off. He's being pinch run for by Drew Stubbs, and the crowd on their feet. Well, Stubbs now running, and while we wait, the Blue Jays don't have anybody to come in to pitch. They found somebody in their bullpen now that wasn't injured in the melee. And you see immediately Jeff Bannister and coaching staff making sure the guys don't do anything crazy. And Prince Fielders, yeah, no big deal. You're out of here anyway. That might have been the least effective retaliation pitch I've ever seen. Didn't have the desired effect. Well, Chad Girodo, left-hander, has come out of the bullpen to take over. Justin Mayshore, assistant hitting coach down there. DeMarlo Hale, former Ranger coach, now the acting manager. Well, calm, or relative calm, was restored once again. And Chad Girodo taking his warm-up toss. Jesse Chavez ends up going a third of an inning here this afternoon. Gives up 2 hits, including the 3-run Ian Desmond home run. We'll go back and take a look at what started all of this craziness in the last several minutes. Batista's slide into second base.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's an intent to try to hurt here. He slides past the bag. That's the exact slide that they're trying to outlaw. Yep. So the final outcome, that it was ruled a double play, is legitimate. That's an illegal slide, a cheap shot. He missed him. And the one thing that didn't miss was Rugnet's punch.
I think Odor got him on the helmet, too.
I give Batista credit. He didn't go down after that punch.
No, you're getting ready to say down goes Batista, but he stood up.
He got the worst out of that exchange.
Well, we don't know if he would have gone down or not. Adrian was holding him up.
Well, so maybe.
Well, Chad Girodo has come out of the Blue Jay bullpen now to take over. Giroto making his 7th appearance. Very fine 159 ERA in the opposition. Hitting just $1.50 against him. He'll deal with Mitch Moreland with Drew Stubbs at first base. Nobody out. Rangers leading 7-6 here in the 8th inning. A little something for everybody here this afternoon. Hockey fans would have loved the fight. It was legitimate. Baseball fans love the Rangers' comeback. Moreland, a double in 3 trips. Hughes shot off the end of the bat. Play at second. That's all they'll get. Stubbs sliding in legitimately down there. Well, Moreland takes Stubbs' place at first with 1 out now, and Elvis Andrus coming in. The 5-6 force at second. In case you're keeping score. Andy Burns has come to the game to take over at third base. And in right field now, Ezekiel Carrera. Yeah, Luis Rivera, the third base coach, and apparently DeMarlo Hale was thrown out of the ball game, along with Jose Bautista, Josh Donaldson, and Steve Buechele thrown out for the Rangers. So, pitching change underway once again here at Globe Life Park. We're back right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Blue Jays game where the Rangers have a 7-6 lead. Roberto Osuna, the closer for the Toronto Blue Jays, on now. About the last man standing out there that Blue Jays can go to. Osuna in his 17th ball game. League hitting just 200 against the young right-hander. 18 strikeouts in 15 in the third innings. Elvis Andrus, a base hit and a walk in 3 trips. Pops up the first pitch. Justin SMOAK between the mound and first base handles it. That is out number 2. Well, Elvis pops out. Now Ryan Rua will come up. We understand also that Rougned Odor was ejected from the ball game, along with Bautista, Donaldson, and Buechele. And in the second melee, of course, Jesse Chavez was run, and so was the acting manager, DeMarlo Hale. It's a war of attrition. Oh, and 1 to Rua. Ryan has scored twice today. Reached on a walk and scored in the 3rd. Reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the 5th. Nothing in 2. Osuna has a good arm when he drops down and throws that little 81-mile-an-hour slop drop that he throws in there. It's got to freeze most hitters. A ball and 2 strikes. Sam Dyson ready in the Ranger bullpen. He will be asked to come in and pitch the 9th inning. Two balls and 2 strikes. Osuna, a check of Moreland at first. 3-2. Well, now Mitch can be off and moving with the next offering. If Rua keeps this inning alive, Brian Holiday, the catcher, in that on-deck circle. Payoff pitch on the way. High foul ball that will work its way back into the seats. And we'll reset and try it again. The Blue Jays took a 5-2 lead as they scored 4 in the 6th inning. Rangers came back with a run in the bottom of the 6th. Blue Jays added 1 in the top of the 7th, and the Rangers in that riotous bottom of the 7th scored 4 of their own. In and out of the glove of Russell Martin. We'll try it one more time. And then in the 8th, the real riot broke out.
That was an uncommon baseball riot.
Yep, sure was. Again, the 3-2. High ball 4. 2 aboard for Holiday. Osuna with just his 5th walk of the year. Puts runners at first and second. Now he'll deal with Brian Holiday, who has doubled, walked, and had a sacrifice bunt this afternoon. 1 for 1. Drove in his 8th run of the year with that double in the 5th inning. Nothing and 1. Holiday now at 235 with the average. Here's that breaking ball that just catches the inside corner. It's 0-2. Osuna, a check of second. And Holiday. High fly ball. Lazily out to left field. That's where Saunders is, and that'll do it. The Rangers strand a couple on a walk and a fielder's choice. We'll go to the 9th inning. Sam Dyson asked to come on and preserve the Rangers' 7-6 lead. bullpen to take over here in the 9th inning. Blue Jays trailing the Rangers 7-6. AT&T high-speed internet telling you about tomorrow night's telecast out to the West Coast. Rangers taking on the Oakland A's from the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Josh Reddick off to a great start with Oakland this year. Last year really gave the Rangers a lot of trouble. Mitch Moreland loves hitting in Oakland. 4 home runs last year against the A's. So Mitch and the Rangers and Reddick and the A's tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Central Time. Here is Sam Dyson on for his 20th appearance of the year. Most in the Ranger bullpen. Sam got his first save this last week, and he fires a strike to Troy Tulowitzki.
Yeah, with Sean Tollison's pitch count last night, he is not available today. Bullpen has been used pretty extensively.
So Hanser Alberto out at second base for the ejected Rougned Odor, and Adrian Beltre takes care of Tulowitzki's ground ball. 1 out here in the 9th inning. Michael Saunders now will be next. Sam Dyson also worked in yesterday's ball game. Just threw 1 pitch though and got the out. The only hitter he was asked to face. Saunders 2 for 4 this afternoon with an RBI single in the second. Good hard sinker in the Japanese for strike 1.
He's got a couple miles an hour less, 94, but he's painting the bottom of the strike zone with good sinking movement.
That one just missed. That was the changeup he threw in there.
Took a little off it.
I think Sam's ball probably moves a little more when he is down at 94, 95 than 98. He probably doesn't like it as much. That one's in the dirt. And the count moves to 2-1. Now we know this Toronto team laden with power, and Saunders one of those that has 5 home runs. So you have to be careful in a 1-run game. You can't just assume that you get down toward the bottom of the order and nobody's going to hit the ball out of the park. Alberto to Moreland. 2 gone. Dyson doing what he does so well, and that's keeping the ball on the ground. And now this crowd of 41,327 are on their feet. They're applauding for another Ranger comeback. They have seen it happen. This will be the 5th comeback win in the last week if the Rangers can close it out. And Russell Martin at the plate. Nearly every Ranger fan complying with the request for a red-out weekend. They have redded out the ballpark against the Toronto Blue Jays. Elvis has it up on the Moreland. That is a winner. Let it go, folks. Possibly one of the most satisfying wins for Rangers and their fans. Well, I don't know, going back to maybe the 1990s when you won your first division title. Blue Jays came in, thumped the Rangers in the first game. Then the Rangers came back twice, not just once, but in the next 2 games to beat Toronto and beat them at their own game, beat them with a long ball, coming back that way. And this afternoon, a 7-6 Ranger win. Matt Bush gets his first major league victory as he was on the mound when the Rangers went ahead behind Ian Desmond. Well, Matt Bush in just 2 major league outings now has gotten a lot of checklists, or a lot on his checklist knocked off as he gets his first win, his major league debut out of the way. Blue Jays ejectedly headed back to the clubhouse. So the 7-6 Ranger win this afternoon. And let's send it down to the field. Emily Jones is standing by with Adrian Beltre.
Adrian Beltre. I don't know where to begin. An interesting game, to say the least. What was it like to be a part of?
It was nice game, nice from behind. I think overall, good team effort, trying to win the game.
Are we running? Are we running? Do it on yourself.
I'm sorry.
Okay, here we go. We're back in business. Yes, an interesting game, to say the least. Adrian, have you ever been a part of anything like that?
Yeah.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. What happened there?
Do you watch the game?
I did.
I guess a pitch got away from Matt Bush, and they took it the wrong way, and obviously Batista slid kind of hard in second base, and Odor didn't like it, and you saw the rest.
Pretty much a summary of it. And Adrian, for you guys to win the series, fight back the way that you have, not only just in this series, but the way you have all season, what is that telling you about this team?
I mean, this team is built to win. There's no doubt about that. We just haven't been consistent enough to put a high streak on it. But I think our team is going to be good, and hopefully we can stay healthy and keep doing what we're doing.
Adrian, thank you for the time and the analysis.
Yeah, I'm done with you for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Guys, back up to you.
All right, Ed, thanks. A very understated analysis, too, by Adrian Beltre. That's what we'd expect out of him, right?
That's exactly right.
Man. Well, 7-6, the Rangers win it. They win the series 2 out of 3 games against Toronto. We'll be back to Globe Life Park with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.